Yeah, hi. Hey, today we're going to do something a little bit different, and this is not like a new style that I'm taking up, but I did an episode a while back about, I think it was called Hard to Find Ingredients in Russia, just things that are hard to find. Well, something that's really hard to find, not hard to find, but impossible to find here is cheddar cheese. And I love cheddar cheese. I mean, there's something here made in Russia called cheddar, but it's not cheddar. I'm not sure what it is. Or if it's cheddar, it's only been aged like a week. It has very little taste to it. No cheddar taste, certainly. So today I'm going to try my hand at making cheddar cheese. I've tried it once before and I failed miserably, so I hope I'm successful this time. All of the different types of chemicals and stuff that are needed, or ingredients, I was able to get here on Ozon, which I've also talked about in prior episodes. Ozon is like a Russian version of Amazon, although quite a bit smaller. The way we're going to start is, the mistake I made last time, I think, is I used store-bought milk. This time I used milk right from the open air market, the outdoor market, milk right from a cow. And we start with 10 liters, or a little more than 10 quarts of milk. That'll end up making 1 kilo of, or 2.5 pounds approximately, of cheddar cheese. So we have to start by pasteurizing this. Pasteurizing is a process, of course, of killing any harmful bacteria that might be in the milk. So the next shot you're going to get will be the milk as I start to pasteurize it. And don't worry, I'm not going to make you watch the whole process, just bits and pieces. Okay, here we have my nice brand new 10-liter pot I bought for doing this. I've got 10 liters of milk in it now that I'm ready to start pasteurizing. What I'm going to do is heat it up to 73 degrees Celsius, let it sit for about 15 minutes at that temperature, then cool it off quickly. I'm not going to make you watch that whole process, I'll just show certain parts of it, but it takes a while. It's 10 liters of milk. It takes a while to heat up even. Here, as the milk is heating up, I do need to maybe not stir constantly, but stir fairly frequently. Don't want to burn the bottom of the milk. I'm sure that would wreck everything. So that's what I'm doing now. Okay, I'm reading about 72.5. I think I can just turn off the gas. Now I'm going to just cover it. I'm going to let it set at this high temperature for about 15 minutes just to kill off its pasteurization, just to do its pasteurization thing. And we'll come back to it in about 15 minutes. Okay, welcome back to the cheese making process. What I've done is I pasteurized the milk. You saw me before. I took it up to about 73 degrees. Then I let it set for 15 minutes. I then brought it over to my sink and I put a lot of cold water in my sink, put the stopper in, set the pan in the sink with the cold water because I wanted to drop the temperature fairly quick. And I've dropped it down. It's supposed to go down to about 32 degrees, which is about where it is right now. Now this type of bacteria at this point that's used is called a Mesophilic bacteria. There are a couple different kinds of bacteria you use making cheese. One is Mesophilic, one is, I think, thermophilic. One requires a higher temperature to acidify than the other. So Mesophilic requires a temperature of about 32 degrees, whereas thermophilic, I think, is around 39 degrees. I'm not sure, but more than 32. So we're going to now put in the Mesophilic Bacteria. And we're going to sprinkle it on the top, and we're going to just let it sit there for about 5 minutes and absorb some water, then we'll stir it up. So I need 2 packets because each of these little packages of Mesophilic contain enough to do like 5 liters of milk, and we're doing 10. Now, I'll show the names of these different ingredients and the amounts that I used, provided it works out. I'm a little bit worried. So we're going to just let that sit now for about 5 minutes. I'm going to actually cover it, keep any impurities from going into it. So we're going to let it sit for about 5 minutes, and I'm going to stir it and then add my other ingredients that I need to make the cheese. So see you in 5. Okay, I've let it set for about 5 minutes just to let it absorb. And now I should stir, like from the bottom up. Stir it in well, although not make the milk all frothy or anything of that nature. All right, now I'm going to cover it, and I'm going to let it just set for about 30 minutes. Now it's supposed to maintain a temperature around 31, 32, but it's quite large, and the temperature doesn't really change that much. So I'm not going to introduce any heat to it. I can just double check here. I probably should, just to make sure I'm in the ballpark. Yeah, okay. About 32 degrees, which is fine. Okay, now we're going to add the remaining ingredients. First thing I'm going to add, let me get the thing stirring. So you remember we already have the bacteria that we've added in here, and we've let it acidify for about 30, actually almost 40 minutes. And now I'm going to add the Rennet. The Rennet is it's a natural coloring. Makes it look a little creamier, and it gives it a bit of an orange tint. So when you get cheddar that's orange, it's because there's been coloring added to it. And as I said, it also gives a little bit more of a creamy look to it. Now we're going to add our calcium chloride. Add it while stirring. Next I'm going to add the rennet. Now the rennet, I don't want to stir it for any more than a minute. Less than a minute is much better. And I'm going to try to have the milk fairly motionless by the time I finish. The rennet makes the milk curdle. So the rennet will make the milk curdle, and it's a chemical that comes from the second stomach of a young calf. But now I'm going to start trying to calm down the milk a little bit, keep it from moving too much. Put the cover on it now, and I'm going to let it set for about 40 minutes. So in about 40 minutes, this should be curdled, I hope. This is where it messed up on me last time. It never curdled on me, and I hope it does this time. Okay, I've waited about 45, actually I waited about 50 minutes, maybe 55, doesn't matter, for the milk to curdle, which it appears to have curdled. And this is where, last time I tried making the cheese, this is where things went south. It never curdled on me. So at this point I'm supposed to cut it up into like cubes. You won't really see it being cut into cubes, but if you can understand, I can cut this way, I can cut this way, but this way it's going to be rather difficult. I'll just do the best that I can. And I'll go the other way. Actually, this is kind of cool. Looks like okay, now I'll just try to do some sort of a weird cut to get my other cut. I don't know how well this is going to work, but it's all I can do. Try this from the angle here. Now I'm supposed to let it set for 5 minutes. They say to let it heal, whatever that means, but we're going to let it heal. I'll let it set for 5 minutes. Oh, still running. Okay. Okay, you can see things have already started to separate a little bit. What's called the whey, W-H-E-Y. Is starting to separate from the curds, and will do so even more so now. So at this point I'm supposed to gently stir. Try not to damage the curds too much. Gently stir this while heating up the curd from the current 30 degrees or 31 degrees up to 39 degrees over about a 45-minute period of time. So I'm going to do that. I don't think you want to sit here and watch that all happen, but that's what I'm going to be doing now for the next 45 minutes. So I'll see you at that point. See you then. Okay, I just finished stirring this stuff for about 45 minutes. Well, not the whole time. And while raising the temperature up to a temperature of 39 degrees now. A lot of separation, as you can see. Right now you're looking, it's just, looks like yellow water. Curds are there, they're just down near the bottom. See them, they're supposed to be about, they say, the size of a bean seed. I don't know how to exactly tell that. I mean, they're smaller than a baseball and bigger than a grain of rice, so I guess they're okay. So what I do now is I just leave it alone and I let it sit for about 40 minutes to settle down. It starts to kind of bind into itself. So we'll let it sit for 45 minutes and then we'll see what we've got. Then we start draining stuff and a little more action. Okay, I guess we missed the part where I strained the whey out of it, but I guess I just didn't start up the camera. I couldn't really see the red light. It was pointing at such an angle. So I'm going to cut this. This part is called cheddaring. I have to do it in a couple pieces because it's in a couple of pieces. So it's like I take this and I flip it, do the same for the other side, and then 10 minutes later, flip it again. Well, you'll see. This is my first attempt here. Let's see how this works out. Okay, I got that one flipped. 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 Okay, flipped and broken. I let that sit for 10 minutes and then I just flip it again. Okay, we went our first 10 minutes and look at that, a lot more whey draining out of there, but that's all right, I guess. Let me turn them all over again. Okay, turn them all over. And again, we'll go another 10 minutes. Okay, time for another flip. Not very exciting video during this portion. Even though it's floating in this stuff, it's actually getting firmer. It's kind of weird. This is called, I think I said already, but this is called cheddaring. Okay, so we flipped it again, and it'll be another 10 minutes. Okay, this will be our last flipping over here. So get this one flipped over. No, it matters, that little one. Flip this one, and this one. Okay, the difference this time, this is the last time. The difference is this time we are going to leave it for 15 minutes. Okay, we're at one of the last phases here. I have to just take each of these, and I'm not cutting the whole things into cubes. They're like square-sided fingers almost, like this. So they're kind of square, but they're long. And then I'm going to take each one of these and break them in half, throw them back in this bucket. We're going to do something called milling. That's where we work the salt through it. But I won't make you watch. Okay, the process I'm doing right now is called milling. The milling is the cutting into the fingers, breaking each one in half. And now it's taking, I'm going to be taking 1.5 tablespoons of salt, and then I'll work that salt into it. Now, it's not just any salt. It's, well, it's what we call cheese salt, but cheese salt is just salt that's has no iodine or any other preservatives added to it. Okay, so I'm just working it in right now. Okay, now I'm really getting towards the end. I'm going to, this is a cheese press I made, kind of based upon some ones I saw for sale online. It was just cheaper and easier to just make it. The cheese is going to go into this basket, so let me fill that up now. Okay, I'm going to just put it in this little pan so I don't get the whey draining all over my countertops and possibly the floor. Actually, I made a lot. I didn't think it was going to fill it up this high. This piece is called a follower, and this follower goes on top of the cheese. Oh wait, I forgot. I better put my cheesecloth covering. This should be contacting it directly. Now, what I'm going to do is, first I'm going to press it for an hour with like 10 kilos of weight on it. Actually, so yeah, 10 kilos of weight. So for 1 hour. So this is my first time trying it out. So I'm trying to first press it down a little bit. Okay, let me get the 10 kilos. Okay, so now I've got 10 kilos of weight on that cheese. It's going to press for an hour. It'll press down some. There'll still be some air bubbles, but then it'll go for a 12-hour press, and this time with double the weight. So we'll just come back and take a look at it at the end of an hour. Cheese has gone through its first press. Let's take it apart. I have to take it, to flip it over, and after flipping it over, I'm going to move this press somewhere else because it's in my wife's way right here. And I'm going to double the weight. Instead of having 10 kilos on it, there'll be 20 kilos. But for now, let's just put some on there. Let's take a look so far what we've got. Kind of looks like cheese, sort of. Anyhow, let me flip this over. We'll put the follower back on. Now this part here you won't really see that well because I'm going to move it from this place to somewhere else where it's not in the way. But tomorrow morning in 12 hours, we'll take it out and see what we've got. Well, it's not done yet, but... Yeah, hi, it's the following day, and I just thought you'd like to see the finished cheese product. That's apple I put next to it is just a medium-sized apple. It's put there for scale, but this is the cheese I took out of the press. It stayed under the press with 20 kilograms of weight for about 14 hours, maybe 15 hours before I pulled it out. And that's now going to sit and just air dry for about 3 days. And it's still kind of, it's still a little soft, not real spongy, but still soft. It's going to harden out as it air dries. And then I'm going to coat it in wax. There are other ways you could do it, but I'm going to coat it in wax and put it away or in a, well, call it a cheese cave, but it's not really a cheese cave. It's actually a wine cooler, a little wine refrigerator I bought. And why a wine refrigerator? Well, because cheddar and many other cheeses need to be stored at a temperature between 10 degrees and 12 degrees Celsius. And that is warmer than a regular refrigerator can be. Or let's put it this way, if you turn your regular refrigerator up to that temperature, your other food will go bad. Normal temperature of a refrigerator is about 4 to 7 degrees Celsius. So I'm going to coat it with wax. It's going to be stored, and cheddar should age a minimum of 3 months. I'll let mine go actually for 6 months. It'll taste much better with much more cheddar flavor. Anyhow, thanks a lot for watching this video. Like I said, it's not like a shift to start showing me cooking different foods, but since this is, the name of my channel is American in Russia, and I do like to talk about things that I can't find here. And as I mentioned before at the beginning of this video, I cannot find good quality cheddar here. And this will hopefully end up being good quality cheddar. Well, anyhow, thank you very much for watching this. And maybe if I'm able to, I'll tack on a little thing of me waxing it, but that's in 3 days. I may have this video all finished off and posted by then. But a little different than my normal programs, but you get to spend a little time with me in the kitchen. So thank you very much. Goodbye. Paka. Oh, by the way, sometimes if it looks like I'm looking off camera a little bit, like I'm, here as a prisoner and I'm watching my guards, it's because I'm looking at the little flip out screen for some reason instead of looking at the lens. So if I don't look like I'm looking at you in the eye, it's because I got to get over that habit. All right, that's all. Goodbye. Hi, it's 3 days since I finished making my cheese, or didn't finish making it, since I took it out of the press and showed it to you. And after that, it's supposed to air dry for 3 days, which it has. Today I'll be waxing it and putting it in the cheese cave. I won't show you the waxing process, but I'll show it to you once it's waxed. But first, let's take a look at it now. This is before waxing, and it's well, it's still next to an apple, the same apple, just there for scale. It has shrunk a little bit during this 3-day air drying process. The weight of this block of cheese, or wheel of cheese, is now 2.2 kilos. I guess afterwards, when I finally take it out in 6 months, I'll weigh it again, see whether it lost weight, or I don't see how it would gain weight, but we'll take a look. Okay, in just a few minutes I'll show it to you after I've put the wax on. Okay, here's the waxed cheese, ready to go into my cheese cave, which is, well, it's a refrigerator, a special refrigerator. I'm not really, I mean, I'm sure it's fine, but I was hoping the wax would be a little bit smoother looking than it is, but hey, it was my first time, and I guess I'm not very good at it yet. But there you go.